The morning sun was warm and bright, but Michael's heart sank the moment he saw his driveway. His brand-new silver sedan, barely a week old, stood there with its windshield shattered, side mirrors hanging loosely, and deep scratches gouged across the hood. For a moment he froze. Was it vandalism? A burglary? But the truth arrived faster than he imagined. His neighbor, Karen, the president of the HOA, stood nearby with her arms crossed, glaring at him like he was the one who had done something wrong. "Cars like that don't belong here," she snapped, as though she owned the air he breathed. "This neighborhood has standards, and that flashy thing ruins the look of our street." Michael couldn't believe his ears. He had worked years to save up for that car, a dream that had finally rolled into reality. And now, within a single morning, that dream had been crushed, literally. He wanted to explode, but something inside told him to stay calm. Losing his temper would only give her more power. So, instead, he quietly pulled out his phone, took pictures of the damage, and without a word, turned his back on her. Karen smirked, confident that her position as HOA president meant he couldn't fight back. But deep down, Michael was already planning his response. Michael sat inside his house, scrolling through the photos of his destroyed car. Each image stung, but they also fueled something stronger: determination. He knew fighting the HOA could be draining. They had rules, fines, lawyers, and endless arrogance. But Michael had something Karen didn't expect: knowledge. This wasn't his first encounter with HOA power games. Before moving here, he had researched carefully, learning about property rights, easements, and the little-known rules that HOAs often overlooked. He hadn't planned to use that knowledge so soon, but now Karen had left him no choice. Later that afternoon, he overheard Karen bragging to other board members about putting him in his place. That's when Michael decided he wouldn't just defend himself. He would turn the tables. While Karen enjoyed her temporary victory, Michael opened his laptop and began digging through HOA bylaws, public property records, and county codes. The deeper he went, the more leverage he found. She thought smashing his car was the end of the story. But for Michael, it was only the beginning. Days passed, and Karen strutted around like a queen, telling neighbors Michael's car was an eyesore. But what she didn't know was that Michael had already uncovered something shocking. The private road leading into the HOA community wasn't actually owned by the association. It was deeded to a trust Michael himself controlled, inherited quietly through his late uncle. That single discovery flipped the entire balance of power. Suddenly, Karen's authority looked fragile, like glass waiting to shatter. If Michael enforced his rights as the road owner, the HOA would be at his mercy. Deliveries, visitors, even emergency services all depended on that road. Instead of confronting Karen directly, he let her arrogance grow. He needed the perfect moment to strike, one that would leave no room for denial. Meanwhile, he arranged for his insurance to document the car damage and file a claim, keeping every detail in writing. Karen thought she had silenced him with fear, but every time Michael walked past his wrecked car, he smiled quietly. He knew something Karen didn't: her own downfall was parked right outside. 1 week later, Michael returned home to find a notice taped to his door. The HOA was fining him $500 a day until he removed the unsightly vehicle from his driveway. Karen's signature glared at him from the bottom of the page. Neighbors whispered that Michael should give up. Nobody won against the HOA. But Michael didn't feel defeated. Instead, he towed his broken car to a safe storage lot, then made a phone call of his own. Within an hour, a tow truck rolled into the neighborhood. Not for his car, but for Karen's. Her bright red SUV, the one she flaunted like a crown jewel, was loaded onto the truck as neighbors gathered, wide-eyed. Karen came running, screaming about theft, about power, about rules. But when Michael calmly handed her the legal notice stating his right to control the roadway, her face turned pale. He explained, in front of everyone, that her car had been illegally parked on his road, and therefore he had every right to remove it. The HOA president, who once looked untouchable, now looked small, her authority collapsing in front of her entire kingdom. The neighborhood buzzed with whispers. For years, Karen had ruled with intimidation, but now, for the first time, she had been silenced. Neighbors who had once feared her gathered around Michael, asking how he did it. Some even admitted they'd been waiting for someone to stand up to her. Karen, however, wasn't ready to give up. She stormed into the next HOA meeting, demanding Michael be punished. But when she tried to use the road, she found it blocked by Michael's temporary barrier, a bright orange construction sign that simply read, "Private access. Authorized entry only." Her voice cracked with anger, but Michael remained calm. "This isn't about revenge," he told her. "It's about fairness. You smashed my car, fined me unfairly, and bullied everyone here. That ends today." His words echoed in the quiet room, and for the first time, Karen had no comeback. Over the next few days, Karen's power crumbled. The HOA board, embarrassed by her reckless behavior, voted to remove her as president. Fines against Michael were withdrawn, and she was ordered to pay restitution for the damage to his car. Michael didn't smile in victory, he simply felt relief. Justice wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and undeniable. He repaired his car, parked it proudly in his driveway, and waved at neighbors who now greeted him with respect instead of pity. Karen, meanwhile, kept her head down. Her reign was over, and though she tried to salvage her reputation, the truth had already spread. She had picked the wrong fight. Life slowly returned to normal. The road remained under Michael's quiet control, a constant reminder of the balance that had shifted. He never bragged or held it over anyone. He simply lived peacefully, knowing that fairness had prevailed. As he washed his car one sunny afternoon, a neighbor approached him and said softly, "You didn't just save yourself. You gave all of us hope." Michael smiled, realizing that standing up to Karen had been about more than his car. It was about restoring dignity to everyone she had tried to intimidate. The once quiet man had become a symbol of quiet strength. And for Karen, the lesson was carved into the very street she once thought she owned. And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.